We are live. Welcome to Live with Bottleneck. I am your host. My name is Jamie J. And I have a little company called Bottleneck Virtual Assistants, and I happen to be the CEO and the founder. And the reason why we're doing this live Bottleneck live with Bottleneck is because we want to help stop the bottleneck in your business. And that means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. And that's why I have so many different guests with different backgrounds that come and join us. And the reason why is because I really value their opinion. And I think what they have to say really matters and will help you in some way, shape, or form stop the bottleneck in your business. Meaning, they'll share things with you that maybe you don't know what you need to be thinking about, or they can answer questions. And that's definitely Cindy Pezza. I've come to know her through Bottleneck Medical, where we help staff virtual medical assistants. And she has been a godsend, a wealth of knowledge, and she helps so many podiatrists out with their practice management. And so we're going to be talking with her a little bit today. But before we get started, before I introduce her, we'll be right back in about 38 seconds. All right, we are back and we're about ready to get started live here, live with Bottleneck with Cindy Pezza. And so for those of you that don't know Cindy Pezza, she's going to be sharing some of the most important things we can be doing, finding the silver linings during a forced slowdown. Now, I've known Cindy for almost maybe 2 years now, maybe a year and a half, 2 years now. Cindy began her career in a specialty practice management in 2002, working in a multitude of capacities and finally holding the position of office manager in a successful podiatry practice in the South Shore area of Massachusetts. Years later, as president and CEO of Pinnacle Practice Achievement, Cindy continues to utilize her experience and expertise to promote development and implementation of structured systems and protocols in both administrative and clinical aspects of practice, consulting with the physicians and staff to improve the quality of patient care while significantly increasing practice revenue. Now, I will go ahead and share the rest of her bio with you so that I don't read all of it. Just know Cindy knows what she's talking about, and she is absolutely amazing. So without any further ado, please allow me to introduce you to Cindy Pezza. How are you, Cindy?
I'm good, Jamie. How are you?
I'm pretty pumped, actually. This whole coronavirus, I'm ready to kind of get over with it and get back out to whatever this new normal is going to be. But you've been working so hard in the background, supporting all of these podiatrists. And I guess we can start off by maybe introducing yourself for those of my audience that may not know you, and tell us a little bit about your background. And then we'll kind of jump into what those silver linings might be.
Sure. So you can gauge the timeline, I guess, of my career in podiatry by my daughter, who is graduating from high school. And sadly, last Friday was supposed to be prom. That's canceled, and we don't know what's happening with graduation. So my youngest, anyway, she's 18. I started in a podiatry practice when she was 6 months old. I majored in English in college, which, you know, a lot of us, our careers morph into what they're supposed to morph into. It is what it is. But I found myself just working in the practice, learning every aspect from the clinical side to the business side. And I always wanted to find out what more we could do for patients, how we could make our jobs easier in the office, how we could make it a better experience for patients. So fast forward a few years, I started going to practice management meetings, talking to people. As you know, Jamie, I'm not shy. and just listening and learning and bringing those concepts back into the practice I was working in and implementing them and tweaking them, as you always need to do. But over the course of the years, I started speaking for these practice management organizations. And then doctors would approach me and say, would you consult with me privately with my practice? And so I started doing that a little bit. And then at some point, I moved my way through the office, became the manager. And I was also consulting on the side and lecturing at meetings. And my children were small at the time, and it was getting to be a lot. So in 2011, I decided to take the leap, which, as a business owner, it's a scary thing. And so I did it. I left security of a good job and went out on my own as a consultant. So I am also the president and CEO and founder and lead consultant and, head bottle washer, I guess. That's just how it happens. And I did it. And it was very scary. But I have to say that I've created a niche that there's not a whole lot of other people that have that niche and have that insight and have kind of natural instincts that I think I have. I'm a very, I don't sugarcoat, let's put it that way. And you know that, Jamie, I just kind of like say it how it is. And so I think doctors appreciate that because, doctors are very intelligent people and podiatrists are very specific. They go to undergrad, 4 years of podiatry school, 3 years of residency. Some of them do fellowships. They're highly trained, very intelligent. On the business side of things, there's not a whole lot that have a strong ability to just look into the future and work towards their goals in a methodical way without becoming distracted. So I'm the person that's not afraid to say, okay, tell me how you're doing that. That makes zero sense. This is how you're going to do it from now on. And I kind of just pose it as a take it or leave it. You don't have to listen to me. You don't have to follow my instructions, but I will tell you that I can give you the guide, right? I can teach you how to do the sit-ups, but you have to do the sit-ups yourself.
Right.
I'm not going to do the work for you. I'm going to show you how to do it. And I'm really a methodical person of systems and protocols, and I need a plan, and I don't like not having control over a situation. I say people have like an A personality. I have an A plus personality, which means nothing's good enough. Nothing is to my expectation. So when it falls a little bit short, to other people, it's perfect, it's great. But to me, I always want better, more. What more can we do in every aspect of life?
Well, and that's a good thing too, because especially in your field, dealing with podiatrists, specifically podiatrists, but physicians. I mean, that's a group of intelligent people that have are usually type A personality. I would say. So you have
a lot of them are, yeah. And it's really it was tough for me. I think kind of throughout the years. I'm not a doctor. I didn't go to podiatry school. Like I said, I majored in English, but I wanted to be a writer. I wrote a screenplay. It's in my basement, collect stuff. It doesn't matter, but I can write with some proficiency, grammatically. I do okay. I put out a lot of articles. So that's where that helps. But I did struggle through the years gaining, I guess, the respect and the trust of the doctors. And so I had to work harder, and whether that's because I'm a woman or whether that was because I was younger than a lot of them, I had to prove myself.
Sure.
In ways that I think a lot of other consultants don't have to. But it paid off because I did. I kind of am known as the consultant who will tell you my opinion, what I think is best for your practice, but I let you make your decisions. I'm not going to steer you towards vendors or services because it's going to line my pockets. And I think that's how I've gained, the trust of these podiatrists. And podiatry is a small world. There's like 15,000 of them in the country. And I work with them at every stage. I volunteer my time. I go to the podiatry schools and speak to the students. I speak to residents. I speak to new practitioners. I speak to staff, managers, doctors that are getting ready to retire, and everything in between. So I have a good grasp of like the plight of whoever you are, wherever you are.
Right.
Jamie, you're frozen to me. I don't know if I am to you. Jamie, I don't know if I lost you, but you were talking and then you were frozen.
I think we're back on, and I do apologize. We had a massive outage here. Bear with us one quick second while I hop back on here. Oh my gosh, this is the great stuff about being live, I guess. Yeah, we just had a massive outage. So doggone it, I apologize for that. But I will say hi to Katie Marie. Able to hang in with us here, and we'll be able to continue here momentarily. One second, we're gonna go full. There we go. Shut the door. We got it back up and running. So we are back at this. And again, my apologies to you, Cindy, and for whomever was watching. If you by any chance have any questions for Cindy while we're going through this, feel free to ask your questions. And if we don't get to you today on this call, I'll definitely forward your questions off to Cindy so that she can answer them for you. Where were we?
Let's see. Well, it doesn't matter now. So let's just move forward.
There we go. So we were talking about the main reason for this, just in case I'll pop this back up there, is we're talking about finding silver linings during a forced slowdown. And so can you maybe share some of the silver linings that you found during this time and what you're helping others with?
Sure. Well, first and foremost, my 3 rescue dogs are even more spoiled than ever, and they're happier to have me always home with them. Not just 75% of the time, but 100% of the time. There's one just turning around from her nap to get more comfortable on her pillow. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing.
Yeah, dogs are like, yahoo! Everybody's here.
Mama is always home.
When are you going back?
Right. So I mean, honestly, about 9 weeks ago, I was worried. I thought, as a practice management consultant, I thought I was going to be out of a job. I thought that there would be no clients left for me because practices, some were shutting down completely. You know, in New York City, some of them are still not open. Others were seeing, you know, a 50% volume, a 25% volume. They were laying staff off. So if I'm supposed to be working with them on their systems, processes, making patient care better, and there's no patients and the doors are closing or almost closed, well, then what do they need me for? So I decided to just kind of inundate them with information, with help, with education. And in addition to all those other things about the triple P loan and the EIDL and all the changes that the government was making. And then when they did the Willy Wonka thing, everything that they put out, it was like, oh, scratch that, reverse it, let's try it somewhere else. But I started to add silver linings, what they could be doing in their downtime. Because so often a doctor will reach out to me and say, I think I need your help and everything's a mess and my aging's out of control and my staff doesn't listen to me and things are a mess and patients are waiting a long time. And they'll say, but you know, let me clean things up a little bit. And when I have time, I'll get back to you. Well, you know, that never happens in some cases. But now, you know, during a forced slowdown, there was no excuse anymore. It was, all right, if you don't take that opportunity, and we didn't know how long it was going to be, to clean things up, to really look and see where the problem areas were, you were never going to do it. So every day I would send out little tips of, all right, start with your office and clean out all your drawers and throw out all those brochures you got at a meeting 5 years ago that you're never going to follow up with that. And then start to move into looking at your vendors and where can you save money? And then look at your staff and what are they doing on a normal day and how can we redelegate that? And then as we progressed through this and a week turns into a month, turns into 2 months, then we're starting to bring patients back into the office. And so then it was, how are we going to do that? What does that look like? So changing the way that you see patients and coming up with systems that make you more efficient, because yes, telehealth is great, but you can't do a procedure over the phone or via FaceTime or Zoom. So how are we going to bring patients back into the office, but limit their contact with other patients while they were there, keep as few patients in the waiting area as possible, move them faster through the waiting room. And we started coming up with all of these more efficient ways to do it. And a lot was through, your expertise, Jamie, of outsourcing, taking tasks and responsibilities that you don't need a person there in an office in person to do, and have them get it done behind the scenes. And so now more than ever in the pandemic, where the whole world has learned the value and the possibility of working remotely, it's like the sky's the limit. So all these concepts that I've kind of, me panicking and thinking, well, I'm going to have no job and I'm going to have no one, that needs me anymore. I needed to create that want and that need. And I did. And I've been able to connect with more doctors over the past 2 months than in the last 10 years combined.
I think here's what I think is where you were genius, incredibly genius, is that you've taken this and created these silver linings, because everything is so process driven with you. And I know from personal experience how hard that is to implement against such heavy schedules. And this can go across all kinds of different industries or niches or stuff like that. Right. But especially in the podiatry industry, in the medical field, we have you have some podiatrists that are seeing 30, 40 patients a day.
60, some that are seeing 60 patients a day. Right.
It's incredible. Right. Then they spend another couple hours updating their progress notes and doing all, they're slammed. When can you work against setting up this process to streamline everything, provide great customer service when somebody walks in, so that when someone has an appointment, they're not waiting another hour or another 2 hours after they get there, a half hour. They come and they get seen. And I think that's what we've done here as well. And I think putting our heads down, really reviewing our processes, updating them, while we've had kind of the downturn in the business and stuff like this, we've actually become super busy because we're focused on, hey, we're going to be in one of those top 10% of the companies that come out of this thing on the other end. And
I think that it goes one of two ways, personally and professionally, during this pandemic. If you are a business owner, if you are working in medical, if you're running a business, a practice or whatever, it doesn't even need to be medical. One of two ways. So let's just talk about personally. I saw something on Facebook the other day, and I'm an avid, play this game, see what your true calling is. Or, look at this. And I do, and I just get sucked into it. But it said,
what kind of animal are you?
Right. They told me the other day on Facebook that my true calling was mafia boss, which with my true love of Tony Soprano, may he rest in peace. That was just perfect. So it said three things personally. You're going to come out a chunk from eating too much, a drunk from drinking too much, or a hunk from working out and working out and working out, right? So that's it. So you have that one end of the spectrum or another. It's there's not enough Netflix to possibly binge in a day. Yeah. Or people who are so busy filling the days and thinking, I don't know how I could possibly fit in working right now. And then on the business side of it, it's going to go one of two ways. People are going to throw up their hands and they're going to give up, and they're going to say, you know what? Yeah, I could be looking to see where I could save money in my business. I could be reviewing the systems. I could be looking at all my protocols and my forms and my customer service and everything. But I'm too depressed. I'm too upset. I'm not going to do it. I don't want to look at it. I don't want to think about it. And then you have the other end of the spectrum, people like us and a lot of the doctors I work with that were busier than ever, from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. every day, online, researching, reading their emails from me, hopping on webinars with me every Monday night, sometimes more than that, just talking about what they could do to be proactive. And I'll tell you, a lot of these doctors, they're highly educated. They have a lot of degrees. They have a lot of accolades. But I'll tell you, some of the emails that I was getting, oh my God, I cleaned my desk out and you wouldn't believe the things that I found in there. And I found promo codes and discounts and coupons, and I found this and that, and I found someone's phone number I've been looking for 3 years. I mean, that was like a huge endorphin rush at a time when if there's nothing else you can control, then you can control that. Yep. You could focus your attention. And I even spelled it out in my short. I try to keep my e-blast short because I know that the busier your brain is, the more you think, the less likely you are to focus for any length of time. So I'd say, set your timer on your phone, 60 minutes, go. Don't look at anything else. Don't get on Facebook. Don't answer emails. Clean, organize, get things together. So I think that for a lot of people, this was an eye-opening experience.
I think about this and I can't agree with you more. When we looked at this, we were freaking out. I will, you know me, I wear my heart on my sleeve, and I'll tell you, like, we were having a rough go. And we're still coming around the end of that. We took our staff down to part-time. A lot of our clients pulled back, and, so it was very scary. I can empathize with you when you were talking about, like, what's going to happen here. In retrospect, we're still not quite out of it yet, right? We're slowly but surely kind of getting out and back, and things are opening up again and things like that. But I look back at this time kind of as a blessing, to be honest with you, an unforeseen blessing. I'll give you that. But I look back on it because, oh my gosh, we've actually had time to, like, we've changed our onboarding. Like, there's a couple of things that just weren't working that whole time. We finally have time to go, okay, what does this look like? And then we would say, this is what we want to do. And then we'd break them down into bite-sized chunks. It's given us an opportunity to revamp our website. So we're going to be launching a brand new website out of this because of everything that we've learned, because we've had to slow down, and we've been able to look at the mirror and say, hey, we have this incredible opportunity right now. Let's take advantage of it. How often does that happen?
And professionals, to business owners, to executives, to people with like big jobs, lots of responsibility, that slowdown is very uncomfortable. Because, like, what do you mean? Like, I'm supposed to be at a meeting right now because it's whatever time. And it's like panic set in, and it was like, what do I do? What do I do with this time? And there were so many things that could be done. I mean, the list was endless. And so I started putting these e-blasts out, and then I emailed Barry Block, who's the physician who's the editor of PM News Online. And this is an online, it's articles and that go out every single day to like 18,000 podiatry related professionals. And I said, would you like me to start a little coping with COVID-19, like practice management tips? I'll keep them 200, 250 words. For me, it's very hard to narrow it down. I said, would you like to? He said, yeah, do it. So I got to part 9 every single night at 11 o'clock, no matter how many other things I'd done. I made sure I sat down and wrote that tip of the day, that 250 word tip. And people were loving it. And I was getting more responses. And then at part 9, he said, like, oh, okay, like we have enough to do. You've given us like a lot of things to do.
Yeah.
But it was very, very helpful for a lot of people. And I feel like the doctors that I work the closest with, either in a one-on-one consulting or, they subscribe to my program, those are the doctors who are going to come out of this much better than they went in. They're the ones that got the loans first. They're the ones that understood the process of the stimulus and everything else. And the other ones that were, you can read all day online, different sources of fake news to see what's going on about the CARES Act and this and that. But you need to kind of pick a source. And to them, a lot of them, I was their source. And so I was filtering out the junk and saying, here, I'm going to tell you, you need to focus on this. And that's what they focused on.
And so you said before, look at all the degrees they have. These are smart people. Mm-hmm. But if you look at anybody, any organization, any sports team, anything, they all have a coach or trainers that they can look to for support. Right. And they're at the top of their game. In the podiatrists, they're the top dog in that practice. But it's really hard to confide in your staff. that's why it's so important to have someone like you to kind of say, hey, you know what? These may seem like simple things. And I remember talking to you before, how many physicians or podiatrists said, you know what? I just don't have the time for that right now.
Yep.
And now that they have that, they can take so much advantage of this opportunity to
Right.
get ready so that when they do come back, they come back in full force and their office is running like a top.
I mean, it's been even something as simple as like a little office makeover. It's like I had one doctor that said, look, I feel like I'm at a Motel 6 or a Holiday Inn kind of level now. It's good. It's clean. There's no bed bugs. There's free continental breakfast. But I want to get to Ritz-Carlton. I want an experience. I want people to walk in and be like, wow, this is a nice office. It's not that cold, sterile, medical waiting room, or it's not like the waiting room that looks like it's 1979 and there's wallpaper peeling and like a shag carpet, on the floor. So even something as simple as that, I mean, I didn't think I would be helping doctors pick out which color of Sherwin-Williams gray, they wanted to put on the walls, but it was necessary.
Yeah.
And, it also doing physical tasks like that, even the actual task of cleaning their offices or organizing or looking at their statements from their vendors, it was allowing them to focus on something they could do something about, because no one has written, I don't think, like a protocol for how to handle a pandemic. In the event of a pandemic, this is what you should do. We didn't know.
Yeah. See, you know what? You nailed that one. So the other day I got into this tear about creating contingency plans. And I tell so many of our clients, I'm like, you need to have a contingency plan. Well, what's that? Well, what if your virtual assistant doesn't show up for a shift? Or what if their computer, dies and they can't contact you? What are you going to do if? And the whole time I'm thinking, well, if you have a contingency plan of sorts, you can write out and plan for something that's completely unexpected, like this COVID and everything what happens if something like this disaster happens that we've all experienced? One of the things that I did in 2008, I had another company and I lost it because of the massive hit that we took from the housing crisis within the span of 3 months, because I was in the real estate industry. I had a real estate agency, advertising agency, and I lost everything. And I said, the first thing I found out in it, I guess you can call that a pandemic of sorts. Yep. The first thing I found out was that staff gets laid off or marketing gets stopped. People stop marketing and advertising. The second thing is people lay staff off. And I said, what will I have to do in the future to make my business as recession proof as possible? Mm-hmm. And while this still was unexpected and out of left field, I think because I went through that and kind of planned for something like that, I was able to kind of control more of what was going on. And here we are, still in business, still going strong, still having consultations. And I wished that for every business owner, every practice, every podiatrist, I hope that they can do something like that where they can be confident through these processes.
Right. No, it's tough. And it's just funny that you mentioned marketing. I had a call with a doctor this morning who, ironically, he reached out to me, I think the end of February. And it was one of those, hey, I saw you lecture at a meeting 7 years ago. And do you remember me? I talked to you after. I'm like, yeah, of course I do, because yes. But so he told me his story and how he really wants, like, this is it. 2020 is the year. He's going to clean it up. He's going to learn how to manage better. He's going to start really amping up his marketing and this and that. And then 2 weeks later, I mean, he's in the middle of New York City. That's it. Shut down. Still not open. So obviously our plan to start working together, it didn't happen. And I spoke to him today and he said, I'm hoping within 4 weeks to be open. Fantastic. Because they've extended in New York till June 13th. Mm-hmm. That's when they're doing their phase 1. So wow, this is tough. What he's done is he's stopped marketing altogether. And I said, wait a minute. So you weren't communicating at all with your patients during this shutdown? He said, no, I check the messages every day and there's really nobody calling. I I said, because you're not letting them know that you're there. You will go into the office to treat emergency patients, urgent patients. That's what the point of essential medical facilities being open during the height of the pandemic was, to keep patients out of the ER and out of the OR, right? And out of the hospital beds, and treating diabetics with ulcers, infected ingrown toenails, cellulitis, any kind of, peripheral vascular disease patient, you can treat them. They are foot and ankle specialists. So I said, all right, the first part of our plan when we start to work together at the beginning of June now is you have to start marketing. I said, you have to export a list of every email you have from every patient, and you need to tell them that you're there, that if they have an emergent problem, come in. There will be no other patient in the waiting room when they're there. You sanitize between every patient. You and the staff will be wearing masks. They need to be wearing a mask. I said, because radio silence, as far as, physicians communicating with patients, right? That wasn't an option, but it happened. Yeah. So he's wondering why his phone's not ringing. He's like, well, no one's coming into the city. No one's working. I said, there are probably patients that still need your services right now, but they're not hearing anything from you.
Well, if you and I are not going to go to a birthday party we're not invited to.
That's right.
Right. You got to invite them. And you've done a tremendous job of that, by the way. I've been getting your emails and things like that. We put out an email when this thing first hit, COVID-19 update. And then we put out subsequent emails to not only our clients and our internal staff, but also to, our list of people, just letting them know, hey, this is what we're experiencing right now, and this is what we're doing. I even opened up and became vulnerable because we did surveys, and I saw some stuff that we were going to use for internal reasons, and it was not very flattering, some of the remarks we got from the survey, and I publicized those. And then I said, this is what we're doing during this downturn to address these concerns and these situations. And you know what? It was pretty neat. I got feedback from several people on the list telling, hey, thanks for your vulnerability. That's a great idea. Way to take action. Just really inspiring stuff. And I think of a lot of people are proactive in getting information out. Just like you said, they're really going to come out on the other side of this really strong.
And people do want to see that vulnerability because they want to feel connected, right now more than ever.
Yep.
Because this is the interaction, this is it that a lot of us have. And just to know that it's I'm really looking at my own stuff, my own business, myself, whatever it is, and I'm with you. Things aren't pretty right now, but hopefully we'll all come out better. And I really, my hope is that people don't get right back into the swing of things and then just lose their, the hindsight. That's 2020, which is ironic. I hope that they don't lose sight of what they wanted to accomplish during this time.
Well, I agree. And I really appreciate you coming out today. This has been fantastic. Thank you for sharing some of the silver linings and, talking about this here. What are some of the things you can do while we're experiencing this forced shutdown? So thank you for sharing what you've gone through and what you've learned. Before we wrap, is there anything else that you would like to say about, coming out on the other end of this thing?
Just that I think people are very cognizant now of how important limiting contact and being more efficient will be. And that's all across the board, whether it be waiting when, we can go and pick up food at a restaurant or go in and eat at a restaurant at some point. But just one concept that real quick I'll talk about, because your virtual assistants can act as anything doctors need them to be. And I think when they think virtual assistant, they're not thinking big enough. They're not sitting down and making a list of everything either they're doing or their staff, the bodies in the office are doing, that you don't need to be physically there. And if nothing else, this pandemic has shown us that you can basically do almost anything this way, real-time audio, video, unless you have a power outage and then it doesn't work. But one of the concepts that I introduced the end of last year And it was just because I was thinking new patients are essential. New customers are essential to any business. However, new customers, new patients are the most time consuming of any patient or customer, because there's an intake process, there's paperwork that needs to be completed, there's all kinds of government regulations, check this box and make this happen, that really, it's doubled the time, if not more, of an existing patient or customer. So we started implementing in one of my practices the new patient coordinator. And this was a person that did not have to be in the office. They could be anywhere. And they would call a new patient, once they were scheduled prior to their visit. And they have a pre-visit interview. Just like when you're having same-day surgery and anesthesia calls you and goes through your medical history and your surgeries and your family history and your favorite color and your shoe size, and they get it all down, right?
Yeah.
So take that amount of time that you spent in that interview, subtract it from sitting in the office, and that's how now it's catching on. So everyone wants a new patient coordinator now. I said, I don't care what you call this person or where they're sitting. They could be sitting on the moon. If they get this job done, that new patient is going to walk in. They're going to be ready to go. Maybe they have to sign, their financial policy on an iPad, or give them a pen to promote your practice and say, keep the pen. It's cleaner that way. Bring them right into the treatment room. The doctors love it. The staff loves it. The patients love it. If you said to me, you're going to be in and out of the doctor's office as a new patient in half the time, sign me up.
Yep.
I'll do that interview all day long. Little things like that have come out of it. I just kind of think, what can we do? What can we do to make it easier?
It's customer service too, though. You're being proactive.
Yep. And what we're finding is that the patients who have this interview, these new patients, they're showing up to their appointments because they've already invested time and they already feel like they know, they're affiliated, they're connected already with your practice because someone has already called and started to establish that rapport. So, there's been a lot of, little tidbits here and there, but I think that's a huge, it's a find. We didn't even know how valuable it was going to be until we needed it.
I love it. I think that's fantastic. Well, thank you. How do people get in touch with you? I know I've been sharing your website and stuff, but.
Thank you. Yeah, my website is pinnaclepa.com. You can find me on Facebook. I have my professional page. It's at Pinnacle Practice. My personal page is just my name, Cindy Pezza. So find me and find all kinds of pictures of my 3 rescue dogs. And that's pretty much it. Or my newfound love of TikTok.
Oh man, someone mentioned, what was it? Some kind of dance thing. And they're like, Jamie, you should do that. I'm like, yeah, sure. No problem. And I saw what it was and I'm like, yeah, no, not me. Sorry.
I've actually been doing it and challenging some of my doctors to do it, learn the dance that I just did, and they're doing it.
Oh my gosh.
They're doing it.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I have a doctor down in Delaware. I did a Footloose TikTok. He did it.
Oh, that's crazy.
On TikTok, find me. It's just my name, Cindy Pezza. And I just started, so I'm like easing my way into it. But I did do a split screen duet with a man that he's dressed like in the Michael Jackson Thriller outfit. And I'm split screen doing a duet of the Thriller, the zombie.
Oh, no way.
And I have to say, it's pretty good.
Hey, we got to check that out.
We all find our real skill set.
There we go.
Yeah.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, again, thank you, Cindy. Thanks for dealing with our new normal today.
Right.
I appreciate that. And thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
It's always a pleasure to speak with you. And congratulations on everything you've done and coming out on this thing pretty good.
Thank you. I'm just hoping and praying for the day that I can go walk around TJ Maxx or Marshalls and just look around and touch things. And
well, here in the Midwest, Springfield, Missouri, they kind of opened up a lot of stuff here. So you're still going and Raina says that she's going to follow you on TikTok.
Thank you, Raina. Make sure you watch the new one that I did. I just did a voiceover of Snoop Dogg. That he gives it. he was accepting an award, and they said, "Who do you want to thank?" And he says, "I want to thank me."
Oh, that's awesome. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much. Stick around just for a second. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up, and then we'll be right there. So hold on one quick second.
All right.
Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us on this call today. I really do appreciate Cindy for taking her time. If you are a podiatrist, I cannot recommend talking with Cindy Pezza enough. If for some reason you don't know who she is, but if you're thinking about starting a new practice, or you're finding yourself just bogged down in the details and you're working really long hours and your personal life has just gone out the window, reach out to Cindy. She just blows me away with some of the things that she does. This is very logical, but it takes time to implement against some of that, and it's the best investment you can do to manage your practice most efficiently and really find the true ROI that you originally came into practicing, and get the enjoyment back of why you became a podiatrist. So again, a special shout out to Cindy Pezza. Thank you so much. And to my business partner, Dr. David Lorino, is excited for you to get back on track there too, with your new gig there in Arizona and with your new practice. And I really appreciate it. So thanks so much for tuning in. We're going to go ahead and wrap up today. And if you have any questions for Cindy, go ahead and post them. If you're liking us, if you're watching us on Facebook or LinkedIn or YouTube or Twitter or Periscope or anything like that, please let me know, and I will definitely get your questions forwarded off to Cindy. So with that, thank you for letting us help stop the bottleneck in your business. My name is Jamie J, live with Bottleneck. Have a great one. We'll talk to you soon.